actually had something really interesting happen about 2 weeks ago. I applied for a job in a research position at a nursing home. And the job entailed, it was research, but it was very clinically and patient based. So the job basically entailed me interviewing residents of the nursing home about possible events of abuse. And it was, so I'll kind of take you through the interview and we'll tell the whole story. But so I walked in and I handed him my resume and a reference letter. And the employer looked over the letter, looked over the resume, and turned to me and said, "You're hired," but before he even asked me any questions. And I was like, let me first drop this little bomb on you before trying to hire me. So I kind of started out the interview by saying, well, before I run you through my resume, I just want to let you know that I stutter. And if you have trouble understanding me, want me to repeat something, or you have any questions about stuttering, I'm totally open to answering them, so please ask. And I immediately saw him kind of like pull back and pause. And it was him and two other women. He was the head of the whole research division at this nursing home. So he was the one conducting the interview. So I saw him pull back and pause. And I was kind of like, okay, here we go. So, and he was like, well, do you know what this job entails? And I said, yes, I know what the job entails. I read the description, and I was actually referred by a professor for this job. So, and they kind of said, well, the job entails interviewing clients and talking to patients all the time. Like, do you really think that with stuttering that you can do that? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I feel totally comfortable with that. I've worked with patients all through nursing school. During my internship, I was with patients, like 5 patients a day, doing assessments on patients. And we kind of moved through the interview, like, went through my resume. Him and the 2 other women said again and again, like, you're highly qualified. You have all this experience, and you seem like you're really passionate about this job. And he kept kind of coming back, probably like 8 or 9 times throughout the interview to like, but do you really think that you can do this job because you stutter? And at the time, it was an intense interview because I expected to be questioned, but I didn't expect to be grilled. But I appreciated it. I appreciated him asking me the questions as opposed to me walking out and him saying, she's not capable, bam, without giving me a chance to kind of advocate for myself. So I appreciated that. So I explained to him about stuttering, like what stuttering is. He asked me what kind of therapy I had. I told him that. He asked me if I could speak fluently if I wanted to. I told him I probably can't ever speak fluently, but I have no problem if someone is weirded out by stuttering or can't understand it, like to slow down and to explain stuttering and to speak as clear as I can. I have no problem. I'm not like, I have a pretty tough skin with that. I'm not going to like get intimidated or hurt if someone reacts in a weird way, because I've had older cognitively impaired patients react to like so many different things in different ways. So I'm prepared to like be fine with it. And so I basically walked out of the interview feeling like that was emotionally intense, but he at the end was like, you're obviously qualified. Like kind of made it seem like I made a good case for myself, as weird as that sounds. And I kind of walked out being like, and the other 2 women were like, you're totally like, this guy needs to stop asking questions, like you're fine. This job is perfect for you, blah, blah, blah. So I walked out feeling exhausted but kind of positive about the interaction. And he told me that he had that like the next day he would call and tell me like if I was being offered the job or not. But I will say that I was given the illusion now that I was going to be offered the job. And so the next day he called and he offered me a job. He kind of was really energetic and kind on the phone and didn't mention the job I applied for at all, and offered me a job in chart review, which is basically sitting behind a computer all day and putting in notes into a system. And it doesn't really, in my opinion, I'm overqualified for that job, and it's not the job that I applied for. So I asked him about the job that I applied for, and he basically refused to talk about that job, and said, well, no, this job is more important. We want you for this job. This job is like much more important than the other job, and this is better. And was kind of like, in like an insecure way. I mean, I understand, like, he couldn't be honest with me and say, we can't hire you because you stutter. Because to my knowledge, that's against the law. That's basically in the interview what he said though, that you're highly qualified. My only concern is the way you speak. So I told him that I would need some time to think about the chart review job, especially since he wouldn't discuss the other job with me, and I would call him back. So the next day I called him back and basically said that I'm really interested in this other job that I applied for, so if I could hear more about that, then I would love to hear more about whether it's still available. And again, I refused to talk about the job. So I basically said to him that I was really interested in the job that I originally applied for, and I would love to hear back from him about that job, but I'm going to turn down this job I was being offered.
Wow, Roisin, that is pretty awesome to me, because it's kind of a gamble,
Yeah.
because that was a sure thing kind of job, and you kind of turned it down. I don't know. To me, that's awesome. Woohoo, go you!
It didn't really feel so great.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it felt empowering in the sense that I was like, I'm not gonna. It felt empowering because a year ago, in that interview, when he first questioned about stuttering, he was asking me, like, how can you talk to patients? Like, what if people make fun of you? What, like, these really, really personal questions. Like, if you want to speak fluently, like, why aren't you trying to work harder on it? Like, really personal questions that didn't really emotionally get to me, where last year I would have, like, emotionally collapsed if someone even asked me about stuttering in an interview.
Right.
So that was, like, I recognized that, After I hung up the phone, I was kind of shocked, actually, because I really believed that after all of that, like, kind of healthy discussion about stuttering, and me, like, doing what I thought was my best attempt to, like, advocate for myself and explain to him, make him and help him understand stuttering, that he still obviously didn't really, or maybe he understood it, but he was, whatever. I felt shocked, and I felt shocked on one hand, but really not shocked. I was like, yeah, like, this is exactly what is going to happen my whole life. It was kind of reverted back to, like, my old thoughts about, like, you're right, he's right, like, I'm not capable of this job. That was on one hand, that was like 10%, but 90% was just, like, shocked and, like, angry. And angry that, like, I wanted to do something else. Like, how else can I, like, I kind of accepted that, and I kind of decided that I didn't want to work at this place, because they weren't being fair and honest. If they were honest with me about the situation, then I would have been a little more, So basically, I decided to write him a letter, and I just sort of, kind of like a little, like, emotional, a little too emotional looking back on it, but wrote him a letter just saying that I really appreciate your honesty in the interview and your questions, but I think I have reason to believe that I wasn't hired for this job, that I'm capable of and qualified for because of how I speak, and I think that that's a mistake, and that I'm capable of this job, and I kind of explained stuttering a little bit, and basically at the end said that I'm sorry this didn't work out, but I hope that for future applicants you, like, consider this situation. And that was kind of the end of the, and he didn't respond. I don't know if he could respond to that. It wasn't really asking for a response.
It's a tough situation.
But I kind of said I had to have, like, the last word almost in that situation. So that was how it ended.